Few understand that the world does not yield to kindness, hope, or fleeting notions of fairness. From the moment we are thrust into the chaos of existence, the rules are set. Not by ideals, but by power, perception, and the cold mathematics of consequence. To survive is one thing, to dominate is another. Those who speak of moral victories often fail to see the battlefield itself, preferring to entertain themselves with illusions. But a ruthless mind knows the truth. Life is a crucible, and only those willing to temper themselves in its fires will emerge unbroken. Every slight, every failure, every whispered betrayal is not a curse but an invitation. It asks, will you bow to the weight of circumstance, or will you wield it as fuel? This is the first harsh reality, the furnace that forges the mind. It is here, in the relentless pressure of the world's expectations, that character is tested. The naive believe adversity is an obstacle. The wise understand it as a tool. Pain, disappointment, and humiliation are the iron and hammer, shaping a mind that refuses to bend to weakness. Observe the patterns of those who fail. They cling desperately to validation, seeking approval in the eyes of others, imagining that external acceptance can shield them from the raw truth of existence. In doing so, they hand over their agency, trading power for comfort. A ruthless mind sees approval as a distraction, a fleeting mirage that blinds one to the true currents beneath the surface. Influence is earned, not given. Dominance is cultivated, not borrowed. When confronted with disrespect, do not plead or apologize unless it serves a strategic purpose. Emotions, when untamed, are chains. To master oneself is to become untouchable. Every moment of fury, doubt, or shame can either imprison or empower. Herein lies the second reality. Your greatest adversary is not the world, but your own hesitation. History is littered with those who misunderstood this principle. Leaders who hesitated at critical moments lost kingdoms. Merchants who trusted blindly lost fortunes. Even the most brilliant minds, if shackled by sentiment or fear, are powerless. The ruthless thinker does not act without contemplation, but he never falters in execution. Decision is the currency of power, and indecision is bankruptcy. One must learn to distinguish between the emotional impulse that clouds judgment and the calculated instinct that predicts outcomes. Each choice, each maneuver, each step taken in silence compounds into authority. This is the third reality. Clarity in thought precedes supremacy in action. Isolation is often feared, yet it is a tool few appreciate. To walk alone, to observe without interference, to contemplate without distraction, these are privileges that the timid surrender too easily. The ruthless mind embraces solitude, recognizing it as a forge for intellect and foresight. In the quiet, one hears truths others ignore. The subtle shift of alliances, the quiet envy in a colleague's gaze, the undercurrent of weakness in a supposed competitor. Solitude is not loneliness. It is reconnaissance. It is preparation, and it is within this space that a mind learns to anticipate, to calculate, to adapt. Thus the fourth reality emerges. Power requires distance, and often the loneliest path is the strongest. Betrayal is inevitable. Those who have never experienced it cannot understand the sharpness of its blade, the sting of realization that those you trusted are now tools of another. But the mind forged in ruthlessness converts this poison into an elixir. Each deception becomes a lesson, each slight an opportunity to refine strategy. Naivety is extinguished. Emotional vulnerability is a luxury few can afford. The fifth reality is uncompromising. Trust sparingly, act decisively, and view every interaction as a chessboard of possibility. Those who fail to internalize this truth remain perpetually vulnerable, subject to whims and manipulations that the ruthless have long learned to anticipate and exploit. Even the passage of time is merciless. Waiting is often perceived as a weakness, yet strategic patience is a hallmark of the ruthless. Life is cyclical, filled with opportunities disguised as setbacks. The mind that cannot endure the slow grind of preparation forfeits advantage. It is not enough to react. One must position, one must observe, one must endure until the moment when action becomes decisive. This patience, however, is not passive. It is vigilance cloaked in stillness, the silent accumulation of insight, strength, and influence. The sixth reality, power is never rushed. It is sculpted with precision, carved over time by those with discipline to wait and the audacity to strike when the world least expects it. A ruthless mindset is unrelenting in its pursuit of comprehension. Every human interaction is an equation, every decision a variable. Every emotion a factor that can be measured, predicted, and manipulated. Ignorance is vulnerability, and knowledge is the blade with which one carves dominion. One must observe without judgment, analyze without bias, and act without remorse when opportunity demands. This relentless pursuit of understanding forms the seventh reality. Clarity of perception is the backbone of invincibility. To underestimate the world or overestimate one's own virtue is a fatal error that the ruthless avoid at all costs. The final consideration in this opening crucible is self-discipline. Without it, all insight, all knowledge, all observation is impotent. Without control over appetite, emotion, and instinct, one becomes predictable, malleable, and weak. The mind, no matter how sharp, is only as formidable as the will that governs it. Strength of will is cultivated daily, through small victories over impulse and desire, through adherence to strategy even when the heart rebels. It is the invisible armor that protects against manipulation, doubt, and despair. And it is this relentless cultivation of self that separates the truly formidable from the merely ambitious. The eighth reality. Invincibility begins within, with the mastery of oneself before mastery over others is even conceivable. These eight truths form the bedrock upon which the ruthless mind is constructed. They are not comfortable, nor are they convenient. Each demands introspection, courage, and a willingness to confront the harshness of existence unflinchingly. Yet those who endure, those who adapt, those who embrace pain, solitude, betrayal, and patience, they are the ones who emerge unbroken. They are the architects of power, the silent rulers, the unseen masters of fate. And it is here, in the crucible of reality, that the first layer of a ruthless mindset is forged. A mindset that will not bend, will not break, and will not submit to illusions or sentiment. This is the beginning of transformation, and the world itself becomes the canvas for those prepared to wield it without hesitation. Number 2. The art of ruthless observation and silent influence. In the theater of life, few ever notice the invisible currents that shape reality. Most are caught in the tide, reacting, complaining, and surrendering to events as if they were inevitable. But the ruthless strategist understands that power does not emerge from chaos. It is born from perception. The second harsh reality of building a ruthless mind is simple yet brutal. Those who observe quietly, act patiently, and influence subtly are the ones who command outcomes while others scramble in panic. The weak assume that noise equals action, that volume equals authority. The ruthless know the truth. Silence, observation, and discretion are the tools that wield influence without exposure. Every gesture, every word, every interaction is data, and the mind trained to read these signals gains advantage unseen. Begin with people, for they are the most predictable variable in this equation of life. Observe not for approval, but for insight. Watch how they respond under pressure, how envy and fear reveal themselves, how loyalty bends and breaks. Each reaction is a window into character, and character is the terrain upon which strategy operates. Do not rush to judgment, but catalog patterns. Those who cannot perceive subtlety are blind, vulnerable to manipulation, and perpetually reactive. Here is the first layer of mastery in observation: neutrality. Detach from the illusion of friendship or animosity, and see the truth in every glance, every hesitation, every concealed sigh. The ruthless know that information is power, and yet they never make it obvious. The less the world knows of your comprehension, the greater the leverage you hold. Beyond observation lies the art of silent influence. Words are powerful, yes, but not when shouted without purpose. The truly formidable manipulate perception through subtle gestures, timing, and suggestion. Plant ideas without announcing ownership. Encourage actions without appearing to guide. By the time the world realizes the outcome, it has already been shaped by your hand. Influence is not coercion, it is orchestration. The naive confuse dominance with force, believing visibility and aggression secure authority. The ruthless know that subtlety sustains power far longer than spectacle ever could. This is the second principle of ruthless influence. Control the perception, and you control the response. Understanding the motivations of others is paramount. Human desire, fear, and ambition are levers that respond predictably when engaged correctly. Study them, but do not pity them. Compassion has its place, but pity is weakness disguised as morality. Every individual operates on a set of priorities: what they value, what they dread, and what they secretly wish to possess. Identify these, and you discover the levers of influence that no one else sees. The third principle: to manipulate effectively, you must first comprehend completely. Without insight into what drives others, all attempts at control are guesswork, and guesswork invites failure. Those who fail here remain pawns in games they could have dominated, observe, but also predict. Patterns are the map of human behavior, and foresight is the weapon of the ruthless. A mind that merely reacts is a mind destined for exploitation. Anticipate betrayals, preempt manipulations, and prepare countermoves before they are needed. Like a chess master, consider not only the immediate action, but the cascading consequences of every decision around you. Predicting others is not arrogance, it is preparedness. The fourth principle: never leave outcomes to chance, for chance favors neither the timid nor the indecisive. Those who master prediction gain control over circumstances and shape reality before it has a chance to crystallize against them. Emotions are the battlefield upon which influence is won or lost. Most are enslaved by them, their judgments clouded by fear, desire, or resentment. The ruthless, however, treat emotion as a tool. Do not suppress it entirely. Recognize it in yourself and others. When others act impulsively, you act deliberately. When panic spreads, calm becomes your silent weapon. When envy festers, leverage it for advantage. Understanding the emotional architecture of human behavior is the fifth principle. To wield influence, you must understand the internal climate of those you seek to guide or dominate. A mind attuned to these currents is invincible because it acts with clarity while others flounder in chaos. Isolation, again, is an ally. The world is noisy, full of distractions and misdirection. To see clearly, the mind must occasionally detach. Retreat from the applause, the gossip, the ceaseless opinions of others. In this silence, patterns emerge, strategies form, and insight consolidates into action. Observation without clarity is worthless. The sixth principle: seek periods of detachment not as escape, but as preparation. Within solitude, you are free to refine, adjust, and perfect the mechanisms of influence without interference or detection. Here, your mind evolves from reactive to predictive, from follower to master. Trust, carefully measured, is part of this calculus. Few understand that those who are easily trusted can be used against you, and those who distrust blindly may never reveal their weaknesses. The ruthless discern whom to observe closely, whom to manipulate subtly, and whom to leave entirely untouched. They understand that influence is selective, strategic, and always contingent upon the landscape of advantage. This is the seventh principle. Distribute attention wisely, invest energy where leverage is possible, and ignore where it is futile. The mind that spreads itself thin is a mind that becomes powerless. Finally, remember that perception is as powerful as reality. The world reacts not always to truth, but to what it believes to be truth. Control perception and you control the narrative. This principle underpins every other. Whether through strategic silence, calculated revelation, or subtle guidance, the mind that shapes perception gains a command over events far beyond what brute strength or loud declarations could achieve. The eighth principle: power often resides not in what you do, but in what others think you can do. Master this, and the world becomes malleable under your influence. The art of ruthless observation and silent influence is not innate. It is cultivated. Every interaction is practice, every betrayal a lesson, every victory a blueprint for refinement. A mind disciplined in these principles sees the patterns others miss, understands the levers they ignore, and moves with a precision that feels almost supernatural to the untrained. The second number of mastery is about seeing clearly, understanding deeply, predicting ruthlessly, and acting subtly. It is the domain of those who will command outcomes not by force, but by the invisible hand of comprehension and influence. Those who master these truths are not merely participants in life, they are its orchestrators. Number 3, the power of ruthless self-mastery and emotional control. True power begins within. The world may praise action, aggression, and bravado, but these are surface-level displays. The real battlefield is internal, and those who fail to master themselves are forever at the mercy of external forces. The third harsh reality that forges a ruthless mind is this: without control over your own impulses, your thoughts, and your emotions, every strategy, every plan, and every attempt to dominate will falter. Self-mastery is not optional, it is non-negotiable. It is the invisible force that shields you from manipulation, fortifies your decisions, and turns hesitation into precision. Begin with the recognition of your own weaknesses. Denial is the enemy. A mind that refuses to see its own fears, insecurities, or biases is blind, and blindness is fatal in the theater of power. Identify the impulses that compromise judgment: anger, envy, desperation, attachment. These are the levers by which others will attempt to control you if you are unaware. The first principle of ruthless self-mastery: knowledge of self is the foundation of control. Reflect daily, examine your reactions, and catalog the patterns that have undermined you in the past. The more honest you are with yourself, the sharper your discipline becomes. Emotional control is the next pillar. Humans are emotional creatures, and most are enslaved to these impulses. The weak allow feelings to dictate action, speak without calculation, and react without foresight. The ruthless, however, use emotion as both shield and tool. Anger is converted into strategic energy, fear is studied and neutralized, desire is harnessed rather than indulged. Mastering emotion does not mean suppressing it entirely. It means understanding it, predicting it, and channeling it toward objectives. The second principle: govern the internal climate of your mind, or it will govern you. Time itself becomes an ally when self-mastery is cultivated. Impulse is the enemy of power, and impatience is the hallmark of the weak. Those who act immediately, without reflection, surrender initiative to others. Delay, in contrast, is strategic. Observe, analyze, and choose the moment of action with precision. Like a predator waiting in silence, the mind that can restrain immediate gratification gains control over outcomes. The third principle: patience is not passivity. It is deliberate preparation, and it separates the calculated from the chaotic. Discipline extends beyond emotion into habit. The mind cannot wield power if the body, routines, and daily conduct are in disarray. Create structures that reinforce focus, consistency, and resilience. Habits are the scaffolding of dominance. They shape your energy, dictate your readiness, and protect you from lapses in judgment. The fourth principle: design your environment and routines to cultivate unyielding discipline. A mind untrained, even if clever, falters when faced with the relentless pressures of life. Isolation, once again, is a critical tool. Many fear solitude, equating it with weakness, loneliness, or boredom. Yet in deliberate solitude lies the opportunity to confront your deepest fears, desires, and uncertainties without distraction. Reflection in isolation forges clarity, sharpens strategy, and strengthens resolve. The fifth principle: seek solitude not for escape, but for fortification. The mind that can endure and learn from its own company develops resilience unmatched by any external training. Self-mastery also demands control over perception, both of yourself and by others. The disciplined mind does not allow reputation to fluctuate with the whims of gossip or temporary emotion. Appear calm, unwavering, and deliberate, even when internal storms rage. This projected stability becomes a weapon. It inspires confidence in allies and hesitation in adversaries. The sixth principle: perception is the bridge between internal discipline and external influence. Without it, mastery remains invisible and ineffective. Fear is the final test of self-mastery. Fear is universal, but only the ruthless know how to confront it. To feel fear is not weakness. To let fear dictate action is. Identify the sources of your fear, dissect them, and expose them to reason. Through repetition, exposure, and preparation, fear is transformed from a tyrant into a guide. It signals risk, but it no longer paralyzes. The seventh principle: confront fear deliberately and repeatedly, and it becomes an instrument of calculated courage rather than a barrier to action. Control over desire is equally critical. Most humans are enslaved by fleeting pleasures, addictions, or cravings that divert focus and erode discipline. The mind that seeks immediate satisfaction sacrifices long-term power. The ruthless strategist understands that delayed gratification is not denial, it is investment. Every temptation resisted is a step toward unshakable control. Every indulgence delayed becomes leverage for achievement. The eighth principle: discipline desire, and you preserve energy, clarity, and autonomy. The mastery of self is iterative, continuous, and often uncomfortable. It demands confronting truths that others avoid. That your mind is your greatest asset and your greatest vulnerability. That emotion can betray you. that habitual indulgence erodes potential. Yet this confrontation is liberating. The mind that accepts its own darkness, disciplines its impulses, and channels its energies becomes untouchable. External chaos cannot disturb it, manipulation cannot sway it, and threats lose their potency. The ninth principle, self-mastery, is the foundation upon which all other forms of influence, power, and strategy are built. Finally, remember that self-mastery is not solitary arrogance. It is strategic invisibility. Those who master themselves need not boast or display. Their control manifests in the precision of their actions, the inevitability of their outcomes, and the silent respect they command. The ruthless mind operates under no illusion of safety. It prepares relentlessly, acts decisively, and never allows weakness to linger. The 10th principle, self-mastery, is both armor and weapon. It shields from harm, empowers action, and ensures that the strategist remains untouchable in both thought and deed. In conclusion, the art of ruthless self-mastery is a relentless pursuit of clarity, discipline, and internal dominance. It is not a gift. It is forged through reflection, practice, and unwavering commitment to truth. Those who achieve it transform fear into foresight, desire into leverage, and chaos into opportunity. The mind disciplined in this way becomes invincible, the hand steady, and the strategist untouchable. This third number unveils the crucial reality. Control yourself, and you control everything else that seeks to control you. Power begins not in the world, but in the mastery of your own mind. Number 4. The art of strategic silence and calculated action. In the realm of power, speech is a weapon, and silence is armor. Yet few understand the value of words withheld, gestures measured, and actions timed with precision. The fourth principle that forges a ruthless mind is the mastery of silence and the deliberate orchestration of every move. Words, when uncontrolled, betray intentions. Hasty action reveals weaknesses. To dominate, one must act like the shadow, present yet unseen, inevitable yet unpredictable. Silence is not absence. It is presence controlled, a tool that sharpens influence while masking strategy. Consider the human tendency to fill gaps with noise. Most speak to impress, to defend, or to react. They disclose too much, expose vulnerabilities, and allow others to predict their next move. The ruthless mind learns to observe first, speak last, and act decisively. Every conversation is a stage where the strategist controls perception by withholding information, by measuring tone, by choosing when to reveal or conceal. One wields a subtle but devastating influence. The first principle, silence is not weakness. It is the unseen hand that shapes outcomes without interference. Patience amplifies the power of calculated action. The impulsive act betrays planning and signals opportunity to the observant adversary. The patient mind, however, waits for the precise moment when action yields maximum effect. Every delay is strategic, every pause a recalibration. The ruthless strategist treats time as an ally, not an enemy, understanding that momentum is not always speed, but precision. The second principle, the timing of action determines impact, and the disciplined mind moves only when conditions guarantee advantage. Observation is a prerequisite to action. Before committing, study the terrain, the actors, and the underlying currents that influence behavior. Observe not with casual interest, but with analytical rigor. Detect patterns, weaknesses, and emotional triggers. Anticipate reactions. The mind that gathers intelligence silently and systematically holds control over the battlefield of influence. The third principle, those who see more, know more, and thus act with certainty where others guess blindly. The judicious use of speech is an extension of strategy. Words should be measured, deliberate, and often paradoxically limited. Speak to instruct, mislead, or provoke, never to appease or reveal insecurity. The value of silence magnifies every word when it is eventually spoken. One carefully timed phrase can achieve what 100 impulsive statements cannot. The fourth principle, in communication, less is more, and every word should carry the weight of intent, precision, and consequence. Action itself must be deliberate and layered. The weak act linearly, responding reactively to circumstances. The ruthless strategist moves in patterns, creating contingencies, setting traps, and building inevitability into each decision. Action without design is wasteful. Action with design is dominance. Each move should serve multiple purposes: to achieve an objective, to misdirect, and to fortify position. The fifth principle, Action is most powerful when it is multi-purpose, carefully concealed within the larger strategy, and executed with precision. Control over perception is inseparable from calculated action. Even a flawless plan falters if interpreted incorrectly by others. Therefore, the strategist must manage appearances as carefully as reality. Project strength when weak, calm when tense, and confidence when uncertain. The manipulation of perception ensures that adversaries are misled, allies are reassured, and outcomes remain predictable to the strategist alone. The sixth principle, mastery over perception, is the silent hand that converts preparation into authority and uncertainty into control. Adaptability enhances the potency of calculated action. Rigidity is a death sentence in the volatile game of power. A move must not only be precise but flexible, capable of pivoting in response to unanticipated changes. The ruthless mind anticipates disruption, maintains contingency plans, and modifies execution without revealing indecision. The seventh principle, adaptability ensures that no plan, however brilliant, is vulnerable to chaos, and no opportunity is lost to unforeseen circumstances. The manipulation of expectation is a powerful adjunct to strategic silence. By controlling what others predict, the strategist creates advantage through surprise. If every move is anticipated, every victory diminished. If every move is unexpected, influence magnified. Control over expectation is achieved through the deliberate withholding of information, feigned weakness, or controlled misdirection. The eighth principle, the element of surprise amplifies the effectiveness of every action, and only those who control perception can manipulate expectation reliably. Every strategist must also embrace the inevitability of consequences. Action carries risk and silence carries responsibility. The ruthless mind calculates every outcome, anticipates every reaction, and accepts the weight of control. This acceptance transforms hesitation into courage and uncertainty into decisive action. The ninth principle, accountability for action, is the hallmark of true control, distinguishing the ruthless strategist from the impulsive or indecisive. Finally, understand that calculated action and strategic silence are inseparable from long-term dominance. Short-term gains without foresight are meaningless. Reckless speech and impulsive behavior erode authority over time. The ruthless strategist cultivates a reputation of precision, reliability, and quiet dominance. Others learn to fear or respect the mind that acts deliberately, speaks sparingly, and moves with certainty. The 10th principle, the mastery of silence and deliberate action, is the bridge between internal discipline and external power, creating influence that is both feared and respected without overt aggression. In conclusion, the art of strategic silence and calculated action is not mere etiquette or restraint. It is a deliberate cultivation of control, perception, and timing. By mastering these elements, one transforms every interaction, every decision, and every opportunity into instruments of dominance. Silence becomes presence, patience becomes leverage, and observation becomes authority. Those who fail to master this art remain prey to impulse, gossip, and miscalculation. The ruthless mind, however, moves unseen, strikes precise, and ensures that power is always dictated on its terms, not by the chaos of chance or the weakness of the unprepared. Number 5. Exploiting weaknesses. While concealing your own power thrives on asymmetry, and asymmetry thrives on knowledge, specifically knowledge of weaknesses, both visible and hidden. The 5th principle of a ruthless mindset is the ability to identify vulnerabilities in others while shielding your own. Few realize that true influence is built not on brute force, but on subtle manipulation of advantage. To dominate, one must see what others cannot, strike where they are unprepared, and create illusions of strength while hiding fragility. Exploiting weaknesses is not cruelty, it is strategy. Begin with observation. The world is filled with predictable patterns, habitual responses, and emotional blind spots. People reveal themselves through small actions, nervous tics, overcompensation, need for approval, insecurity cloaked as confidence. A disciplined mind watches carefully, noting these fissures without comment. Knowledge of weaknesses is useless unless applied strategically. The first law, observe relentlessly, record details, and never underestimate the small signs that betray inner fragility. Exploitation requires subtlety. Power is lost when advantage is obvious. The aggressive display of dominance alerts the cautious and provokes resistance. The ruthless strategist waits for opportunity, acting only when leverage is maximized. Use the weaknesses of others to create dependency, doubt, or distraction. Encourage them to reveal more through calculated interaction, then apply influence at precisely the right moment. The second law: subtlety is force multiplied. The quiet hand wields far greater control than the overt strike. Conceal your own weaknesses. Every strategist carries vulnerabilities. The key is invisibility. Shield hesitation, insecurity, and ignorance beneath layers of composed demeanor. The human instinct is to mirror behavior. People exposed to confidence, even if false, assume competence. By hiding your flaws, you prevent others from gaining leverage. The third law: secrecy about your limits converts vulnerability into untouchable strength. Manipulate perception to magnify control. Often, the appearance of invincibility is more effective than actual power. Present yourself as unwavering, decisive, and fully aware. Even minor exaggerations of competence create a psychological edge over opponents who fear exposure. Perception becomes reality in the mind of the unprepared. The fourth law: manage how you are perceived relentlessly. It is often your shadow that dictates others' behavior, not your true abilities. Leverage situational weaknesses ruthlessly. Context amplifies human error. A poorly timed decision, a moment of fatigue, or the distraction of emotion exposes vulnerability. The disciplined strategist observes conditions carefully, identifying windows where influence is nearly effortless. Exploit these moments not recklessly, but with calculated precision. The fifth law: timing converts opportunity into control. Awareness of context turns observation into dominance. Create dependency without transparency. The most powerful manipulation occurs when others willingly rely on you. Guide them subtly to situations where your assistance is essential. Allow them to underestimate your influence while their choices gradually align with your strategy. This fosters compliance without confrontation. The sixth law: the mind that fosters voluntary dependency wields control quietly and endlessly, far beyond immediate action. Exploit emotional vulnerability strategically. Human behavior is often governed by desire, fear, pride, or shame. These levers are infinitely manipulable but must be applied with care. Trigger doubt in the overconfident, appeal to ambition in the cautious, and provoke envy when advantageous. The key is to align your interventions with their inner motivations, ensuring resistance is minimal. The seventh law: emotions are instruments of influence. The strategist who understands them controls outcomes without visible force. Adaptation in exploitation is essential. Weaknesses are not static. People learn, circumstances shift, and perceptions evolve. A ruthless mind monitors changes continuously, adjusting strategy to maintain advantage. Exploitation is dynamic, requiring constant reassessment of targets and self. The eighth law: flexibility ensures the exploitation remains effective, and failure to adapt exposes vulnerability. The ethical dimension is irrelevant to the strategist. Exploitation is not measured by morality, but by efficacy. History demonstrates that leaders who hesitate out of conscience are repeatedly outmaneuvered by those who act without hesitation. Morality is a personal luxury. Strategy is survival and dominance. The ninth law: abandon sentiment in strategic calculation. Only the ruthless achieve control over outcomes. Finally, maintain the balance between action and invisibility. Overreach exposes weakness, while inaction wastes opportunity. Every calculated exploitation must be precise, ensuring that the target remains unaware of the hand guiding their behavior. By remaining invisible while influencing outcomes, the strategist turns minor advantages into absolute authority. The 10th law: the most effective power is the unseen force that shapes reality while avoiding detection. And mastery of others' weaknesses ensures that you remain untouchable. In conclusion, the ruthless mind understands that domination is a game of leverage. Knowledge of others' weaknesses, combined with concealment of your own, creates an environment where influence is both silent and absolute. Observe relentlessly, act with precision, and manipulate perception. perception to magnify advantage. Exploit emotional, situational, and psychological vulnerabilities strategically while guarding your own. The master manipulator achieves results not through confrontation, but through invisibility, subtlety, and relentless calculation. In this, balance lies the core of a mind forged for enduring power. Always aware, always prepared, and always untouchable. Number 6. Mastering the art of calculated patience power is seldom seized in haste. The final secret to forging a ruthless mind is the mastery of patience, calculated, deliberate, and unwavering. Those who act impulsively surrender control to circumstance, emotion, and the unpredictable will of others. The disciplined strategist understands that every move must be timed with precision, every decision weighted against potential outcomes, and every action measured against its ultimate effect on power dynamics. Patience is not passive. It is active control exercised over time. The first principle of calculated patience is observation. Watch the flow of events, the reactions of people, and the subtle shifts in alliances and attitudes. The impatient act too quickly, often before they have gathered enough information to make their move effective. The ruthless mind knows that knowledge accrues over time, and that each day provides new insight into the landscape of influence. By observing meticulously, you accumulate the strategic intelligence necessary to act decisively at the optimal moment. Restraint is the second pillar. Desire for immediate results is the downfall of many who appear strong, but are, in reality, short-sighted. A rash action may yield temporary gains, but at the cost of long-term position, reputation, or leverage. True power is built incrementally, often imperceptibly, until it is so firmly established that resistance is futile. The disciplined strategist delays gratification, understanding that the impact of a carefully timed maneuver far outweighs the noise of impulsive action. Timing is paramount. In every conflict, negotiation, or social interaction, there exists a precise window when influence can be maximized. Acting too early or too late diminishes effectiveness. The ruthless mind does not allow ego or emotion to dictate timing. It follows the rhythm of circumstance, exploiting the natural vulnerabilities presented by situations and people. Waiting is not weakness. It is preparation, a calculated positioning that ensures maximum leverage when the decisive moment arrives. Patience is reinforced by foresight. Visualize outcomes before acting. Consider the cascade of consequences that will follow each decision. This anticipation transforms inaction into strategic activity, where each moment of waiting is laden with purpose. The master strategist predicts reactions, manipulates variables subtly, and calculates the trajectory of influence across days, weeks, or even years. The ability to foresee and plan transforms patience from passive endurance into a dynamic weapon of control. Emotional mastery is inseparable from patience. Impulsivity is often fueled by unchecked emotion, anger, frustration, envy, or fear. These emotions cloud judgment and force premature action. The ruthless mind cultivates detachment, recognizing emotion as a tool rather than a driver. By controlling internal reactions, the strategist can wait without anxiety, assess situations without bias, and act with clarity when the timing is advantageous. Patience is impossible without mastery over one's own psyche. Secrecy complements patience. The less others know of your intentions, the more potent your timing becomes. Revealing plans or desires prematurely allows opponents to counteract or manipulate the situation. The master manipulator remains silent, conceals intentions, and acts only when the culmination of planning guarantees maximum effect. Patience, coupled with secrecy, transforms ordinary waiting into a form of silent dominance, an invisible pressure that shapes behavior and outcomes without overt action. Patience also requires adaptability. Circumstances are fluid, and rigidity is the enemy of control. A strategist who waits must constantly reassess, adjusting plans to account for new information, unexpected events, and shifts in the behavior of others. Waiting does not mean stagnation. It means dynamic preparation, a constant alignment of strategy with reality. The disciplined mind adapts, ensuring that when action finally occurs, it strikes with precision and unassailable force. The perception of patience can be weaponized. Appearing calm, unconcerned, or indifferent often lulls others into underestimating your capacity or intentions. They act hastily, reveal secrets, and commit errors, all while believing they are ahead. By projecting patience, the strategist subtly manipulates opponents into disadvantageous positions, all without lifting a hand. Influence exercised through the mere projection of composure is a hallmark of true control. Calculated patience extends beyond immediate interactions. Consider long-term reputation, alliances, and influence. Decisions made today ripple through the future, impacting relationships, credibility, and strategic positioning. The strategist who understands this employs patience as a tool to sculpt not just a single event, but the trajectory of power itself. Enduring influence requires patience that spans years, sometimes decades, a willingness to wait for the world to present the perfect conditions for action. Finally, patience requires discipline and self-trust. Confidence in one's own judgment enables the mind to wait without second-guessing. The strategist trusts in preparation, in the observation of others, and in the inevitability of opportunity. Impatience is often a reflection of doubt. Patience is a demonstration of mastery. By cultivating calculated patience, the ruthless mind ensures that when action is taken, it is unstoppable, precise, and final. In conclusion, mastery of calculated patience completes the framework of a ruthless mindset. Observation, restraint, timing, foresight, emotional control, secrecy, adaptability, strategic projection, long-term vision, and disciplined self-trust converge to create the ultimate form of influence. The ability to act decisively at the precise moment, shaping outcomes with precision while appearing effortless. The strategist who masters patience does not chase power. They allow it to manifest under their control, in their time, and with unchallengeable authority. Patience in its disciplined form is the quiet force that ensures every other skill, the exploitation of weaknesses, psychological manipulation, and strategic deception, achieves its maximum effect, forging a mind truly untouchable.